So what we'll be taking a look at in this lecture is that we will be deploying our own SQL database as well as using Copilot on top of that database to help us write SQL queries, but then also fix and optimize our code. To do that, the first thing obviously which you would need is a workspace, and the workspace has to be tied to a premium fabric capacity, which I already have tied it to. And then I can just simply click on new item, and then from new item I will scroll all the way down to the store data section, and you should be able to see a SQL database section over here, and you can simply name your new SQL database that you're looking to deploy on Microsoft Fabric. So I have already deployed and created my own SQL database, which is this one over here. And then you can see the type is an SQL database. I am the owner. And what I'll do now is just jump right into it. So this is the interface that you are given for the SQL database that we have. And right now we have two sections. One is where all of the queries that you will be writing and that you decide to save will be stored over here. Right now I have nothing, which is why this is empty. And then within the Hawk SQL database itself, I have two schemas right now. I have one for sales LT and one is called DBO. And then within DBO, what I have done for this lecture is I have already uploaded the employees table that we learned and we were looking at within the Excel environment. So we are already familiar with this database and you won't have to learn and then understand another data set. So this should be good. Now, as is the case with most SQL editors as well as environments, you can see that a preview of my data has been given to me by default, and this is showing the top 1000 rows, no matter how big your database is. For me, right now, I have 26 columns and 100 rows within my dataset, all of which are being displayed over here. And then you can see that data types were also automatically added to all of these columns that I can very easily see. Now, if I want to start querying this data and then writing SQL code on top of it, all I have to do is hit new query. And this opens up an editor wherein I can start writing T-SQL and Copilot will suggest what comes after. So it's almost like an intelligent sensor or an coding assistant that will be scanning my code and will help me write better code. So I think the most basic query that I can think of is just selecting everything that I have within my table. Even though this is a pretty bad practice on production tables and large tables, so I'll just do select star from my employees table. And what this means is that give me everything that there is within the employees table, no filtering conditions applied at all. I'll go ahead and run this. And only because I have 100 rows, I was running this query to be honest. And this succeeded in less than a second. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Now what I can do over here is maybe make this a little bit more complex and say where the department is equal to finance. Only give me that data. I can run this and now you can see that I have been given data back for everything that is in the finance department. Now let's say that I am somebody who does not know how to write SQL, or I know how to write SQL but I'm not very good at it. I want a coding assistant and a pair programmer to help me. To help you with that, you can click the Copilot button over here, and this is welcoming you to Copilot for databases, and then it's also giving you a warning that inaccuracies are possible, so don't just blindly rely on the output that is given to you, and the customer data will be temporarily stored to help identify harmful use of AI. I'll just get started, and then first of all, you can ask Copilot to create a table with a couple of columns that you want, and Copilot will help you write the code for that. I think that's super easy. Then you can get an insight into the total number of tables that you have within your database. So if you have like a massive database and you're looking to ask questions in natural language, this can help you do that. But for me, what I'll do is that I first of all want a new query, start from scratch, and then I simply want to ask Copilot, how many employees do I have in each department? So I'm asking it a question in natural language, and right now this version of Copilot is very much tailored towards writing SQL code. So if you try to ask it questions that are not related to SQL, it will just tell you straight away that I can't answer this. And you can see that now an SQL query has been provided to you right within this environment, and it's also explaining to you exactly what the code does. So you have two options right now. You can copy and then paste it over here, or you can simply hit this button, which will insert your code into your editor straight away, and I can simply run this from here. And you can now see that very easily I did not even have to write SQL code, but now I'm able to see the number of employees per department that I have, and clearly 23 marketing is the highest one. Let's go ahead and try a couple of more examples and say, show me the average base salary, per job title, for example. So I want to know which job title is making the most money on average. And I think that should give me a good analysis. So Copilot has gone ahead, it has started working on it, and then already it has crafted up a new SQL query that I'm going to hit on new query and directly insert into my editor, and then I will run this. And then this was executed already, wherein we have a bunch of average base salaries that have been returned now, and all of this over here is by the job title. So what I can do, because I know how to write a little bit of SQL, I can just simply say order by the average base salary that you have computed in ascending order, and I will run this. And the least salary that is being made on average is by a sales manager, followed by a recruiter and accountant. And if I go all the way down, then a legal assistant and marketing manager on average are making the most amount of money. Okay, this could also be maybe just because I have one legal assistant. I don't know that. You can go ahead and improve your queries a little bit and dive deeper into this analysis. But the next thing that I'm going to ask Copilot is, who are the top 10 highest paid employees based on base salary? Okay, and maybe I want to write SQL code for this. I'll just hit new query by default and then send this query over to Copilot so that it can figure it out if it is able to. It's working on it, and I think the speed is pretty good as well. It's quite quick. I will just insert this, and this is a full-blown explanation on what the query does. But even if you did not want to do that, and you have, let's say, query or code that you have copy pasted over here, you can hit explain query right from here, and then you can see that automatically comments have been added inside your SQL query, and step by step it explains what each line is doing. So this line retrieves the full name of the employee, this line retrieves the base salary of the employee, this is to order the results by the base salary in descending order, and then this is to get the highest salaries at the top. I think that is just phenomenal. I'll hit run, and let's see that if there was any error or not. And you can see that on state 1 line 1 there is an incorrect syntax near the word to. Okay, I don't understand that. So what I'll do is I will ask Copilot to fix the errors in the selected query if there are any. And the button, this is already running over here. Let's try to run that again, and then boom, I automatically have a response over here. So you have just now seen how you can ask it to comment your code and then understand what your query is doing and generate comments, which is generally considered a best practice. But then even if there is, let's say, an error in your code, let's say I have missed a keyword over here. If I try to run this, I am definitely going to get an error. I can always hit fix the query errors. Copilot will start to scan your entire code, and you can see that autofix changed DEC to DESC for the correct syntax. A comment has also been added. That is so cool. And now I can just simply run this code over here, and you can see that the base salary has been given to me by the employee. So David, Brittany, Jacob, Angela, They make the highest salary out of all of my employees, and these are my top 10 employees based on base salary. This was an introduction. In the next lecture, we will try maybe 3 or 4 more queries, but I really hope that this lecture excited you and you start to see how Copilot is now starting to get integrated with pretty much all of the Microsoft products. And this is something that was impossible a couple of years ago. And to date, a lot of developers would struggle to write code, which we'll be seeing in the next lecture.